okay? Okay. So we'll go ahead and bring the meeting to order. The first thing is I wanted to talk real quick about a policy change that the board has, and this is regards to folks speaking at the board meetings. So just to give you a little bit of history, in the past, the board has always allowed folks to speak at meetings. That's actually a policy that the board has chosen to have, to let people speak at meetings. It's not required by law or anything like that. A couple years ago, I think it was a couple years ago, maybe less than that, within the last couple of years, the legislature passed a law that said that we have to allow folks the opportunity to speak before we vote on agenda items. It kind of makes sense if we're gonna, vote on changing the mascot at the school, that we give the public the opportunity to speak on that before we vote. And so recently in the board meetings, what we've done is we divided the board meetings into 5 different sections. And then before we would vote on each section, we would allow people to speak about, anything that was in that agenda item. There's been some confusion on, okay, is that the only thing somebody can speak about, or can they speak about other things? So what the board has decided is we're not gonna limit somebody's speech, and we're gonna allow folks to talk about any topic that they want to talk about, whether it's on the agenda or not on the agenda, okay? So we feel that's the right thing to do. We want to hear from folks if they've got something to say. So in the past, you might have heard things about, well, is this on the agenda? Is it not on the agenda? That doesn't matter anymore. If you want to come in and speak about whether we should have football, we're happy to hear what you have to say, okay? There's a few rules. We're going to do this at the beginning of the meeting. There's a sign-in sheet, so we'd like you to fill out a form if you want to speak. And if you want to talk about one of the 5 topics, if you could check that, because I'm going to give priority to those. If somebody, if we have an agenda item about whatever, a budget item or something like that, I want those people to have, I guess, first priority. And then after, that is done, then we can, if folks want to talk about general, with public comment was one of the options on the sheet, then we'll open it up for those folks. We are going to ask that you identify yourself, give us your name. We are going to ask that you limit your speech to 3 minutes or less, and we are going to limit that to 30 minutes of time because we're hopefully not here till midnight kind of thing, so we're trying to avoid. So a couple other things. I mean, if we have the same person come to the board meeting and say the same thing 4 times in a row, we might ask, okay, we've heard this before, we're not gonna entertain that or whatever. So, but in general, we want folks to be able to speak. Is there anything I'm missing? Oh, if we do have a topic like changing the mascot, for example, and we've got 3 people that get up and talk about, hey, I'm all in favor of that. At that point, I'm probably going to pause and say, I got 20 people here that want to talk. Is there anybody wants to talk on the other side that doesn't want to speak? I want to go back and forth. That's because I want to give, if the controversial topic, I want to give folks on the other side an opportunity to hear that. So tonight I've got 9, I think it's 9 folks, so 9 times 3 is 27 minutes. We should be in good shape to give everybody an opportunity to speak tonight. Is there anything I'm missing? I can think of we're good on that. So I'm sure there's something I'm missing, but I can't remember what it is. So anyway, Terry Thompson, before we begin the public comment part, Terry Thompson has asked for the opportunity to speak, and we've invited him up. So Terry, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Well, I'm going to come up here.
That's what, yes.
I don't want to face them.
Yeah, no, that's
Right.
fine.
I want to face you. I don't want to have my back to you. So
Yes, that's fine.
you're not going to start there, right?
I'm not going to start there. Nope.
That's a good thing. No, I'm just
The
kidding.
floor is yours.
I'm kidding. By the way, I was in a board meeting that lasted till 12 o'clock one night, so long time ago. But anyway, as I wanted to say last meeting, I wanted to make sure I got a chance. I have 3 objectives. I want to make sure I thank you, community, because you are always been supportive of what we're trying to do here at Rossville. So that's amazing. And I want to talk about leadership, and I also want to make a quick recommendation. Okay, so those are my 3 objectives. That's what a good teacher does, right? Make sure students know that, right, Gracie? That's what we do. All right, so you need to know a little history. So back in 2018, when I interviewed with many of these people for the position here, I told them there were 2 reasons I wanted to come to Rossville. One, you'd had a roller coaster ride with principals. The kids needed consistency. 2, you obviously have an incredible community that is very supportive of kids getting a quality education. So those were the 2 main focuses, and that's what we had been doing in other places. So I need to give you a little history. So thank you for your, you guys support your kids, and that makes our jobs a whole lot easier. So you guys understand that. I do have to go to another situation though, because I have to talk about leadership, and then I'll transition into what I'm referring to. So prior to this position, I was superintendent of schools in Anderson and loved it. Wouldn't have left there hadn't been for just a little heart attack on tax day in 2017. So that was a mandated situation there. But one of the things we were able to do, they said, now when I say they, board community said, one, we couldn't make a big impact in that school community, which I disagreed with. We were able to decrease the expulsion rate in that school district by 87%, not 1 year, but 4 years in a row. We were able to reduce suspensions by 48%, a little bit more than that, 4 years in a row. But the most important factor was what we were able to do. And when I say we had an incredible team, was able to hire my own assistant superintendents and had 4 of them. That makes, and a CFO, which makes it a lot easier. So the one thing though that was the most important was we had to increase the graduation rate. Graduation rate when I went there was very slim. It was in I think it was 48.6% to be exact. But can you imagine that? I mean, here we are, we have 95, 96, 97, but I'm going to touch on that too because it's really not a true figure because of how they figure cohorts in the state of Indiana. But so we 4 years in a row went from, let's say 50% to 94%, 4 years in a row. Now the reason I bring that up is because within 2 years after my team, because when I left, my team left, some of the other assistant superintendents went on to a different superintendent's position, which was great. But what happened there in that district was the expulsion rates went right back up and attendance went to pot. By the way, there's 13.6 million kids today who have chronic absenteeism. We have maybe 3. So I thank God for being in Rossville, Indiana. So as soon as we left, and as soon as those visions, because we built a career center, D26, check it out sometime, and we built an alternative school, which we had to do or we just continue losing kids. But what happened was all those things started falling away. And I just checked, and the budget is still at 110 million, but the attendance rates in the 70s in some places, and graduation rates down to 81%. And that's because you've got to have a focus on that, and you've got to emphasize it. So then so what's that mean? What's that have to do with here? Well, what it has to do with here is the fact that we are very fortunate. But I have to tell you, there were a lot of things we had to do. And many of you know that because you've been part of it. And so, this school now, we have curriculum maps online. You know exactly what we're teaching, which we have to be transparent. You have to know. If you have a concern, you know the door is always open. We have been able to, we have 100% graduation rate with kids who started with us their senior year. Okay? So there's a lot of kids that were with us in grade 9 as part of the cohort who went to another school. We have no control over that. So that's why you don't see 100% graduation rate. But with the kids we have, no matter what, we push them through. We've had kids stay here till mid-July, sometimes September, but the emphasis is on that. So I know how important the leadership is. And just to be quite honest, when I returned, I was very disappointed in the environment. And I think you know that. I think you know from having kids here that there were some things that slid away. So we've had a few meetings here and there. Matter of fact, we had one today. Our middle school kids haven't quite adapted to middle high school life, so we had to have that discussion as we go into finals. So we're always trying to emphasize what the importance of what we do here at Rossville. And we call it the Rossville way. So, pretty cool. Going back, it's really important because really fortunate. When I was at Anderson, I had 9,000 students. My secretary, first day I met with her, I told her I wouldn't be in until 10 o'clock at the earliest each day. I think she thought I was going to sleep in. She didn't. Went to a different building every day to see kids and greet them. So we got to know the kids, and that was vital. And that is vital here, because that's why I love greeting our students, and we will continue to do that as in multiple places throughout the building, because we may be the only adult to do that. So because of those relationships we built in Anderson, whenever anybody on our team would go down, whether it be a principal, which we had over 20 to deal with, different personalities, but everybody had the same vision. So we made a major impact on the lives of our team. And that was very, very important to us. So, and that would be my only recommendation. And I have to say, I was disappointed in the fact that, when I think it was, I know it was, I can't forget it because April's a bad month for me. April 29th in 2021, I had another heart attack. While here, don't know why, this is the best job in the state, but didn't hear from anybody. Well, that's not true. I heard from a young lady sitting back there, because I believe, Jennifer, you were on the board at that time. So she made a major impact doing that. And then it was later that spring, my wife had another surgery, and we had one person reach out to us then. Well, that's not true. Jennifer did, but I've known Jennifer for a long, long time. This has nothing to do with just Rossville. And that was you, Mr. Root, when you checked on Roberta to see. So it's always a family affair when we do business or when we do principalships, whether I was at Tipton, Southport, or Clark Pleasant in a totally different role, or as principal and Anderson superintendent. That's where my wife has always been, right alongside me and with you. So that's all I have to say. So thank you very much for, I don't know how long it took, but I appreciate time. Last time I really wanted to sell tickets for Cook's Night Out, but it is what it is. We do have some coming up for you in the spring. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. I remembered what I forgot. So typically, the opportunity for folks to speak to the board is just to address the board, and the board will typically not respond to questions, that kind of thing. And part of that is because if you ask something basic like, can you tell us when fall break is? I mean, that's not a very controversial topic, I hope. So if we can provide an answer like that, we're going to do it. But if you ask, hey, what do you think about changing the school colors? Well, it's unfair for me to speak with that, because I may say, well, geez, I really like blue and white, and the rest of the board members are going, what the heck's this guy talking about? We don't agree with that at all. So it's difficult for one person to speak for the entire board. So the concept here is, during this time for public comments, is to give information to the board. We can, potentially get back with you later if we need to, but most of it is to take that information under advisement. If we got 8 people saying they want to have a pool, we hear you. We're going to take that under advisement and investigate that and see what the possibilities are. So anyway, the last thing I want to say is that we put this at the beginning of the meeting, and because we wanted you to have first shot at the board and not have to sit through a boring school board meeting and have your comments. If folks want to leave after the public comment section is done, you're certainly welcome to stay. It's a meeting held in public, because anybody's welcome to stay here. But if you want to leave, you're certainly not going to offend us. We do that when we have guests come in and we do a presentation or something. So you're welcome to stay and hear things about budget or whatever else. We welcome you, but we're not going to be offended if you get up and walk out. So it's not considered rude. Mark's leaving already. All right, with that, I've got two folks that have marked policy items on their list, and the first is Ken Prather. Is that right? You got this, Mandy?
I hope so.
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Kim Fraser and I live just outside of Rossville. First, I want to start by thanking you for allowing these comments during the board meeting. I understand that you recently changed this, and thank you. However, that does bring me to the topic of my concern this evening. At what board meeting was this policy changed? This policy was not changed at the November meeting. I was there. I was there when you were told by those sitting here that you needed to allow us to speak. And now we are told the policy changed to allow that. I ask, when did it change? Are you voting on that tonight? Open door policy states no votes take place behind closed doors. This is one example of several I have of items in which the board seems to be changing and improving things outside of public meetings. This is a clear violation of open door policies. Official action means to receive information, deliberate, make recommendations, establish policy, make decisions, or take final actions per Indiana Code 514.15-2D. In order to be considered a meeting pursuant to the open door law, a governing body must take official action. The next example I have is regarding the letter to Mr. Thompson. They had to sign in order to return to his job. This letter was only suspected by us, but confirmed by your attorney. We were first told that board members did not know about the letter to be signed. Then we were told by your attorney that they did know and approved of it after it was signed. At that public board meeting, at what public board meeting was this voted on? You cannot have it both ways. Board members, you either knew about it and voted on it behind closed doors, or maybe an email, or you didn't know about it, and Dr. Hanna acted on his own authority instead of yours. Which is it? Agreeing to give and accept a letter that lays out conditions for Mr. Thompson's return would in fact be an official action, thus requiring an open door meeting. In 2010, our school ranked 133 in the state. Mr. Thompson brought us being ranked as 82 in 2018 to our highest ever of 20 in 2022. This accolade belongs to him and his staff as he promised and promoted a culture of honesty, transparency, and accountability within the school. I did see the agenda for tonight's meeting online. However, it was a very vague agenda. If we as parents are to be involved in proceedings that involve our children, how are we to know when a topic would be something that will affect our children? How will we know ahead of time to sign up to speak on that topic when we don't even know what they are? This would appear to be purposely vague to keep us as uninterested as possible. On behalf of a much larger group of parents and those here this evening, thank you for listening. You have seemed baffled at our sudden involvement, and we are well aware that you are hoping will fade with time. I want to reassure you that though our numbers are smaller this evening, due in part to no less than 3 school activities going on simultaneously, the ones that are here are steadfast and very committed to seeing this through. I know you cannot answer my questions. I'm asking them so that you can be aware of your own violations as we are.
Thank you. Next is Josh Ritchie.
Josh Ritchie, I live here in Russell. My one side, he really is I feel is very concerned from Ms. Prather. So thank you to Ms. Prather for your words this evening. Couple things. One quick question for clarity. The public comment section is 30 minutes or the meeting is 30 minutes?
The public comment section will be 30 minutes.
Perfect.
And the meeting the business of the meeting will be after that.
So I'll echo one quick point to put an exclamation on that. recent activities at the school, involving the school board, involving certain administration, has led to a lot of public involvement here. We're filling a room that's in, historically, we've seen maybe a few participants outside of the board. I would ask the board to pay attention to that piece, because that's speaking well into the involvement of the community and the interest of the community in this school, the school's policy, and this academic report. With that, switching gears real quick into something maybe more policy related, and to your comments earlier, not expecting an answer, just merely curious to a certain item. We know that there was a recent incident at the school where we saw maybe a physical altercation happen with a student and certain members of faculty, or certain people within the building. And I would ask the board whether or not a full investigation was done with all parties involved. I know recent comments have revolved around a certain individual, but it's my understanding that there were other parties involved. And I just want to make sure that all are being treated fair and equitable. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, next, David Meek.
My name's Dave Meek. I live at 3770 West, 600 South. I was actually just coming to see if there was anything that we could do, because there was 4 students that didn't get the Shining Star Scholarship, and I didn't know, is there anything that we can do for them so they can get that?
Terry has his hand up, I'll let him answer that if he can.
So I contacted ISP, told them the situation, and they've allowed me to submit, it's 3 kids. It's the Rising Star ones that Nathan, your daughter, received last year. So it's an honor they receive, it just helps them get scholarship opportunities. So they are gonna receive it, it just won't be in the publication.
Well, thank you for following through with that.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, thank you. Next, I've got Sean, is it Barnes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Sean Barnes. A public records request was submitted to the superintendent's office on November 15, 2023, requesting information from the meeting minutes of the May 2nd, 2023 school board meeting. Specifically, the request asked for section 8540, use of school property revised, attachment 4. The superintendent's office staff attempted to comply with that request, but was unable to find the document. This document has still not been located or provided. I would like to ask the school board to look into this and produce this document.
What's the number?
The number is 8540, use of school property, revised, attachment 4. The attachment's missing.
Tell him to produce it this.
It should be, but it's
I don't know if it's with the minutes of the meeting, well, yeah, with the minutes of the meeting.
Just for clarification, it's not with the minutes of the meeting, is that correct?
correct. It's identified as on the minutes, but there are no links available for any attachment on the public board meeting. That's why a public request was made. And they attempted to fulfill the request,
Sure.
but they just weren't able to locate the documents. I'm just asking if someone
Yeah.
follow through with that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Jackie Fauci. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Definitely Foshi. Okay.
Fauci, sorry.
That's okay. I'm Jackie Foshi. The last 2 months I've come to speak in front of the board administration regarding what happened to my son on 9/14. I come to you for the 3rd time today to address and to acknowledge what has happened since then. First, to board members, Mrs. Mink and Mrs. Pendleton, who have spoken up, heard my concerns, and helped me advocate to move towards solution for my child's concerns. Thank you both. Second, Mr. Thompson, I'm gonna try not to cry. Please hold. Second, Mr. Thompson, thank you for taking immediate action upon your return to put new safeguards in place for Rylan, maintaining open communication with me, actually talking to Rylan, and stepping up to advocate. Next, to Mr. Hufford and Dr. Hannah. Both of you spoke to me on the phone the first time on December 8th, and you did move quickly to put a meeting together with yourself, my husband and I, and other stakeholders for the next business day. I do hear you saying you are willing to look at policies and consider amendments to ensure the safety of my child and other children in the district. I would like to express again that I am committed to helping with providing educational material we discussed and follow through on my end. I wanted to let you know that I received the first portion of the documentation I requested today in a form of part of Ryland's medical chart. And about any industry in the world, numbers are what speaks. So I want to be transparent with numbers in hopes they give some perspective and understanding. Today is the 90th day since September 14th. 0 is the number of calls I received while Mr. Thompson was out of the building. So that was approximately 50 days. There were 86 days between the incident and my first contact with Dr. Hannah and the board representative. But there was only one business day before we met. So that moved quickly after I heard from you. 30 days from an occurrence of a medical incident with my child, the part-time nurse who was present and rendered treatment documented a partial log of medical treatment rendered. For perspective, the documentation in his chart was entered within 36 hours of my first addressing this board, 1 full month after the date of the incident. 0 are the number of vital signs that were documented on that medical record. 30 seconds was the time it took for Mr. Thompson on his first morning back to approach Ryland, ask him how he was, and reassure him he was safe. He had not even entered the building yet. And under 60 minutes from the start of that first school day was when I had my first call from Mr. Thompson to begin discussing future solutions to put safeguards in place. I do have some documents for the board for you on those items. My printer is jammed. I was good to get this printed out today. So if you want to make a copy, I'll let you do that afterwards.
Yeah, or if you wanna email them to me,
Okay.
or if you wanna drop them off on my phone.
Okay, and I will make sure that the board, Dr. Hannah and Mr. Thompson receive a copy of those. And I'm sorry, I got like 5 seconds left. It isn't.
Go ahead.
Okay, I lost my whole place. I just put on here, we cannot create solutions without accountability and changing the culture of one to open, transparent communication, and that is what I'm attempting to do with you guys. That's it.
Graciela Nunez?
Was.
Wes? Okay, thank you, sorry.
Now I'm very used to it. So my name is Graciela Was, and I'm here for multiple reasons. First, I'm here as a former student. I think it's important for the board to know that it is crucial for administration and staff in the building who are creating successful students at school and once we leave school. I left Rossville to pursue what I have always wanted, a faith-based education. At my current school, my mom and I met with my guidance counselor about plans for my future. And they were especially surprised that Mr. Thompson was involved in my future, even if I'm not at this school. Mr. Thompson has never failed to come and tell me hi, whether it be at a sports game. Even today I walked in and he immediately gave me a hug. He never fails to ask my brothers about me, and he never fails to make sure I'm okay. Now imagine my confusion as to how lucky enough I am to ever have to experience why it's rare because of what I built here at Rossville. The second reason is to read my brother's statement. From Ryland to the Rossville School Board. Hi everyone, my name is Ryland West. I'm a 9th grader here at Rossville High School. You all have heard a lot about what happened to me on September 14th. You have heard a lot about what didn't happen for me and what should have happened, but you haven't heard from me. I'm downstairs at my choir concert, so I'm having my sister read my words to you, and I will leave you a copy. First, thank you for giving me the chance to be heard. Second, I want you to know that it matters who is in the building and who is leading us. I want you to hear about the staff who did and do still try and help me, tried to advocate for me after the incident when I couldn't get administration's help. Our previous nurse Janelle and our current nurse Kayla, you have had to encourage me and sometimes push me to speak up for myself, and that is what I'm doing today. Mr. Wilson and Mr. Landis, who listen and try to get others to understand my issues. Mr. Burkle and Coach Hopper, who have navigated through some of these same things happening in the past, whether it be in school or outside of school during a sporting event, and have worked to fix them right away so I could stay safe and successful. To my teammates and friends who have rallied to support me and find creative ways to prevent bullying and continue me when administration wouldn't help, including those who have already graduated. Mr. Thompson, who met me as soon as he found out on 9/14, helped right away when he got back to put things back in place and try to prevent it from happening again, and told me right away when he got back that I was safe, heard, and his doors open. To date, he is the only one in administration who has bothered to even speak to me, let alone acknowledge what happened. You see that it is missing. It was over 50 days between September 14, 2023, and the first time someone in the administration was willing to do anything, whether it be investigate or admit they heard me. That is a lot of days to continue problems. With no one willing to listen to me, the school staff says every student every day. But all I heard for over 50 days that I didn't matter to this administration or this board. Staff here teach us more than just what is in our books. We learn what you don't have to do with friends and someone to respect. We learn that you don't have to act like someone to work with them in a group, and that kindness is free no matter circumstances. We learn to understand that everyone contributes. We learn to communicate responsibly with each other and other staff. I am asking the body to start doing these same things that are reasonable expectations of us. Take their accountability when a mistake is made. Help us keep from repeating the same mistakes again and again. I cannot afford to risk this mistake again. I'm going to ask you to look at what happened, to admit your mistakes, and to work on the things that can improve for everyone's safety, for it was my life that had to be risked for someone to be heard.
Thank you. Next, I have Jeremiah Terry.
Well, my name is Jeremiah Terry. I came here to address the board on one thing specific today. Good evening, and thank you for hearing my concern. I'd like to address the board specifically on the discussion of transparency. The board meetings, according to the House Bill 1167, signed on May 1st of 2023 by the Indiana State, designates that by July 1st, 2025, all government meetings, including school board meetings, must be live streamed and recorded for public access. I'm not sure if the board was aware of this being signed yet, but it has been done and it does need to be in effect by July 1st of 2025. If there's not the capability to do so, to do a live streaming, it must be recorded and made available to the public at least for 90 days. These are the standards that are knocking at your doorstep right now. I personally would like to see the school board here at Rossville Consolidated Schools take the initiative to start this in January of 2024. It is clear by the parents in this room today that we have an invested interest in the schools and what happens here. Not every parent is able to be here physically to make it to each meeting due to scheduling concerns. These live streams and recordings would allow them to still be informed and have an understanding of what is going on here with the school. As a closing statement to this, I'd like to encourage the board to take a look at the YouTube channel for West Lafayette Schools. They live stream all of their meetings, and it is saved then to their YouTube channel for future reference. We should be going to the end of the new year looking to meet or exceed the expectations the state has given us for the coming years while maintaining transparency to the constituents constituents of the board. We voted for and will continue to vote for the board that we perceive to align with our ideal board out of trust. As we continue to put our trust in you, we would like to also be informed and educated about what is happening in this room, even if we can't make it. Thank you for taking the time to hear me.
Next, I've got Nick Bush.
Hi, my name's Nick. I'm a student here at Rossville. I'm on a positive thing. I'd like to talk about my experiences here with regarding Thompson. I've had great interactions with him. He has made himself present at Rossville events, and he supports students that are involved. He was willing to take time out of his day for us for a quick conversation or a problem that needs resolved. He showed his care to his students here at Rossville and goes out of his way to provide us with the necessities needed to succeed through our student career. An active member of the EPICA and the National Honor Society, I can speak from experience that Thompson has been a big advocate for these programs, meaning more like it. He is also willing to step in at any given moment to help with anything that may be in a struggling position. A couple of years ago, when a teacher was away, I watched as Thompson walked into the room and a complete mess of a class. He converted it back to being neat and orderly. Also been in a class that had not been using its resources it has been provided with. The students felt as if their opportunities of learning the material were minimized. Brought this to Mr. Thompson's attention, and the following day I walked into class and learned a lot for the first time that morning. Everything was laid out and instruction was given. In my eyes, I see Thompson as a person that will work until the results are made. It's my hope and prayer that Mr. Thompson will be on the stage with us the day we graduate in 2025. That's my
And I've got, thank you, Terry.
My name is Stevie Terry, and I'm a junior transfer student here at Rossville. Mr. Thompson is the reason that I came to Rossville 5 years ago. He took the time to meet with my family and me to discuss our transfer. Throughout my years at Rossville, Mr. Thompson has always made an effort to get to know the students. He knows about my sports and even asks about my siblings, one of whom he never even had as a student. Mr. Thompson is very personable with us kids every day. He stands outside no matter the weather and greets us as we walk in the mornings. It may not seem like that makes a difference, but we all noticed when he wasn't there. His 42-day absence was extremely obvious to both students and staff. He was unable to be present at our pep rally, and the lack of leadership was evident. County Power Puff is a huge part of our school, but since he wasn't here, that didn't happen. No one else took it upon themselves to organize this event that means so much to our students. The school may still be open in his absence. We're all here from 8:10 to 3:10, but there's a difference in every aspect of our building. Mr. Thompson wants to see all of his students succeed. I'm the president of Youth Rise, which is a service organization across Clinton County. Many of my peers in this group complain that their principals won't meet with them or constantly shut down their ideas. However, Mr. Thompson always reaches out to us and wants to know how he can help spread our program throughout the school. Not only does he take the time during the school day to have a relationship with us kids, but he also comes to our sporting events. He was present at several of our golf matches and even our sectionals all the way in West Lafayette. Mr. Thompson is the face of Rossville, and I hope to see him outside our building every morning until I graduate. I hope as many students as possible get to experience the Rossville way created by Mr. Thompson. Thank you for your time.
Okay, that's all of the forms I have for people who need to speak, so with that, we will move on to
This item on the agenda is approval of minutes, consideration of claims and payroll from November the 7th, the regular session, November the 20th, with the executive session, December 5th with an executive session. Board members have received their packets, including, in its claims docket and information. The fund bank reports for November were supplied for review, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
I move we approve minutes, claims, and payrolls as presented.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes, claims, and payrolls as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Next item is for programmatic improvement item, learning priority plan. EES conducted on-site visits on October 3rd. During the visit, they conducted classroom walkthroughs and met with focus groups. In addition to the on-site visit, EES conducted data analysis and artifact review. They came up with 3 key priority areas that rose to the top based on the comprehensive review of teaching and learning. Those 3 were enhanced K-12 STEM education career readiness, expand the science-based literacy continuum, and create a K-12 system for collaboration and data-informed instruction. We believe that the KPAs will have a great positive impact on our student academic outcomes and their opportunities. These initiatives also align well with the requirements from the Indiana Department of Education. The plan is to launch those work with the staff on January the 8th. All the staff members will have the opportunity to choose one KPA and learn about and support the implementation of the work, and I'm asking the board for their support in pursuing the learning prioritization plan.
I move we approve, or we offer our support for the learning prioritization plan.
Been properly moved and seconded to offer our support for the learning prioritization plan. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
New business personnel items, consideration of teacher appreciation grant stipend. Rossville Consolidated School District received the teacher appreciation grant, which is to be used for stipends for eligible teachers from their performance during the 22-23 school year. Grant was provided to teachers that met the following criteria. 1, they had to be employed in the classroom or directed to providing education in a virtual classroom setting. They also had to receive an evaluation of either effective or highly effective. They had to be employed at least 120 days during the last school year, and then they needed to be employed on December 1st of this school year. My dates are off. The legislature requires that highly effective and effective be differentiated by 25%. Stipend payment was made on December the 8th, 2023, because there's timelines that go along with this. Yet the amount for teachers for effective was $556 and $695 for highly effective teachers. Requesting retroactive approval of expenditures of the grant funds used in terms under the terms of the guidelines. Okay, sorry. That's all right. We've had a couple teachers that they received the teacher appreciation grant. It's intended to serve as a stipend for eligible teachers based on performance. And we had a couple teachers, 2 actually, Mr. Morrison, the librarian, Mrs. Gahave, Title I teacher, who met all the criteria, were highly effective, but were not directly involved in classroom instruction. Therefore, I'm requesting the board to retroactively approve because of the valuable contributions they have to student learning, to provide them with the same stipend that the other teachers receive. And then also, consideration of classified staff stipend. Rossville School District received funds from the DOE for the teacher appreciation grant. It's a one-time payment in addition to the compensation model distribution outlined in the master teacher contract. The legislature does not provide any appreciation dollars or others to other essential staff to make the school a school. Requesting the board provide a stipend to classified staff members employed at least 120 days last year, employed on December 1st of this year, and received a positive evaluation. That stipend equals 1 week's of pay for the employee's handbook. Administration would not receive a stipend. I'm requesting retroactive approval of this stipend. Distribution was made at the same time the distribution of teacher appreciation grant, and you have a complete listing of those individuals as well. Consideration of job description. Clinton County Joint Services was recently formed, and Rossville Consolidated School District is the local education agency. And this would require the district to hire shared personnel once the Joint Services Board of Directors approve the personnel. requesting that, we have several job descriptions for the staffing of this joint services cooperative, and those job descriptions are for Director of Exceptional Needs, Educational Psychologist, Educational Consultant, and Administrative Assistant to the Director. So those job descriptions are for your review. Resignations. Heidi Haynes has submitted her resignation as a custodian effective November 21st, 2023. Mr. Buck submitted his resignation as a student council sponsor effective November 17th. And Michelle Stornoff submitted her resignation as speech language pathologist. That's the end of, effective the end of first semester. Consideration of appointments. Mr. Thompson is recommending Tracy Fife as a student council sponsor effective November the 20th. Mr. Fagan's recommending Kim Zink and Carrie Gahabe as a homebound instructor for second grade students per the student's 504 plan. And the instruction will be up to 6 hours per week, and that began on November the 27th. Their appointments, Mr. Burkle and Mr. Thompson, for volleyball, Lexi Shriver, varsity head coach, girls basketball, Elisa Redding, 7th grade girls coach, and Carrie Gahabe as a volunteer cheer coach. Consideration of joint services positions. So I indicated a moment ago that Clinton Central, Clinton Prairie, and Rossville collaborated to establish Clinton County Joint Services, aimed at delivering special education services to students with disabilities residing within the 3 corporations. The initiative follows the dissolution of the Boone Clinton Joint Services Cooperative this fall, and that becomes effective June 30th of 2024. The school district, Rossville, has been designated as the LEA. Rossville Schools will hire the employees for the cooperative and will handle the financial management of the cooperative. Although Rossville Schools assumes the LEA role, each district is accountable for covering their fair share of the operation costs. Seeking approval to advertise the following positions to ensure the joint services is adequately staffed for 2024-25. And that includes the Director of Exceptional Needs, up to 2 school psychologists based on the caseload. Right now we're looking probably at 1.5, a consultant and an administrative assistant. Another service that we'll probably contract for is the blind, low vision, deaf, hard of hearing instructor. So that one I think we'll contract for, or that's our goal. And then finally, consideration of classified handbook, recommending increasing the rate of pay for the maintenance assistant. The position requires the holder to complete and maintain a commercial driver's license and a school bus and an air brake endorsement on that license, along with their yellow card through the Indiana Department of Education. I feel the increase warranted for the added responsibilities for the additional duties, and those that increase would take effect January 1, 2024.
I move we approve the personnel items as presented.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the personnel items as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Policy items. We've been working through the board policy manual, and one of the primary responsibilities of the board to develop those policies and to make sure it maintains relevancy and it's current. The board regularly reviews and updates the policies. We've actively engaged with the comprehensive policy program in collaboration with the Indiana School Boards Association. And I have 2 policies for first read this evening, actually several, and then I have 2 for second. First read policies in section 1200, organization of the board, the officers. These are all revised. Audio and video taping, case conferences, that was revised. Student wellness and physical activity and nutrition was revised, and administration of medication is also up for first read. With the formation of our police department, we have policies that we need to adopt, and the list of those are for first read. These are all first read for the police ones. Police 100, Law Enforcement Authority. 101, Chief Executive Officer. 102 is the Oath of Office. 103 is Policy Manual. 104 is Code of Ethics. 200 is Organization and Structure and Responsibility. 201, General Orders. 202, Emergency Operation Plan. 203 is Training. 204 is Electronic Mail. 205 is Administrative Communication. 305 is Officer Involved Shooting and Death, and I believe that one's a new requirement. And 306 is Firearms. Board policies up for a second reading. 1202, School Attorney. That's a new policy. What it does is it names the attorney at the December meeting, and it takes effect January 1. The old policy that I talked about, which was in first reads, had the person getting appointed in January and take effect January 1. It didn't make sense. The timelines did not add up. Board of Education Conflict of Interest has been revised. 1204, Board Members Authority is a new policy from ISBA. Indiana School Board Association. 1206, Public Expression of Board Members, revised. 2750, use of AEDs, and 3001, Equal Employment Opportunity. And then, second reading also is 4001, Equal Educational Opportunity. They are different. Early Entrance Appeal Procedure. 5330, Academic Freedom and Responsibility. That's a new policy. 5335, Use of Generative Artificial Intelligence Programs. That's a new policy. And Take Home Vehicle Policy has been revised, 703. That's the policies up for consideration this evening, first and second reads.
I move we approve the policies as presented.
Excuse me, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the policies as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Financial items, consideration of fund closures. The treasurer is requesting permission to balance all major funds during the year-end process. In addition, the treasurer is requesting permission to transfer funds to accounts that don't have enough activity and to close the fund accounts. The funds will be transferred prior to the end of the year process, removed from the fund ledger during the close of the 2023 calendar year-end process. Resolution to transfer and close accounts has been provided to the board. Donations. Mr. Jaden Brown has made a financial donation of $1,400 to Rossville Boys Basketball. CIS Crop Insurance Specialties donated $1,000 to the 2024 Rossville Junior Senior High School Prom. Recommending approval of those donations. Consideration of trade-in. Formally requesting approval of the trade-in of bus 3 in conjunction with our upcoming delivery of a new school bus from Curlin Bus Sales. I think that bus has been out a year, so it takes a long time to get a bus in. Curlin Bus Sales and Leasing offered a trade-in value of $1,500. It'll be scrapped. The new bus has been released from the factory but has not yet arrived at the dealership. Bus 3 is a 72-passenger 2009 IC conventional type C bus, and I give you the VIN. The current mileage stands at 54,633. Considering the infrequency of use, I think it had 700 some miles last year, and I don't anticipate it will go over 95,000 when the trade comes. I'm recommending approval of requesting approval of trade-in of bus 3 when the new one comes in. School bus purchase. School bus purchase plan targets bus 15, which is an 84-passenger rear engine type D bus. Utilize Central Indiana Educational Service Center bids to collect competitive proposals from 3 primary manufacturers of school buses, Bluebird, IC, and Thomas. Recommends the replacement of bus 15 with a 78-passenger size, 72-seat capacity IC bus. It's from Midwest Transit, presented the most responsive and cost-effective bid for the conventional bus in line with the district preferences. Proposed purchase of the IC bus, an expenditure not not to exceed $161,490. The trade for bus 15 is $2,000. So,
I move to approve the financial items as presented.
Properly moved and second to approve the financial items as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
New business, miscellaneous item, consideration of the Eclipse school calendar adjustment. If you haven't heard, on April the 8th, 2024, where there's supposed to be a total eclipse will occur. We are not in the direct path of that, but we're darn close. It's a rare occurrence, provides a unique educational opportunity for students, presents some potential logistic issues due to the timing. It's like at 3:07 or 3:10. Prompts a proposal to adjust the school calendar. Proposing a one-day adjustment in the calendar by canceling school on April the 8th and making up the day on April the 26th. The 26th was already scheduled the day off, so we just swapped days. And then on the 8th, we'd be off student educators. That way they can actually go and travel to a better viewing site. The best site in Clinton County is Kirkland. They are anticipating a lot of people, and when it happens, people just pull over and stop and get out the water. So it's the logistics of it. Lafayette School Corporation, last night, I think they approved the off of the 8th. Our science teachers, I reached out to the staff. The science teachers were supporting that, give families the opportunity to make that decision on what they want to do on the eclipse. And then, just because of the unknowns of the community and what's gonna happen with traffic. So, make that recommendation. Also, so speaking of dates, proposed 18-month view for school board meetings, starting on January the 9th and coming to close on, so 2024 is there, and June 2025 is the meeting. The regular meetings are at 7 p.m. or as announced, and then I put in there generally the budget review, the budget hearing, and the budget adoption. So those dates are there as well. Overnight field trip. Wrestling team is requesting overnight stay prior to the Newcastle Wrestling Invitational, which is this weekend. That'll forego an early morning trip, and they're planning to stay on the 15th. And Newcastle is where regional or semi-state? Semi-state last year. So they're requesting overnight stay. Overnight conference, Dustin Shadbolt and Thomas Dillingham requested to attend an active shooter intruder response conference. They did that on December the 7th. It came up rather quick, and I think Mr. Hufford, you sent me the information. And the conference was free. It was at Bloomington, so they requested overnight stay in support of that. And consideration of corporation attorney. I've had the privilege of working closely with various legal professionals over the years. It's been a great confidence that I'm recommending Louis Kappas for the district's legal representation. Louis Kappas attorneys at law poses a diverse background and specialized knowledge essential for addressing the legal intricacies associated with school districts. Their reputation for excellence in education law, employment law, contractual matters, and dispute resolution aligns seamlessly with our district needs. Particularly impressed with attorney Michelle Cooper, one of the directors associated with Louis Kappas. She has demonstrated a profound understanding of the legal landscape within Clinton County schools. She currently serves as counsel for Clinton Central, Clinton Prairie, and the community schools of Frankfort. Her familiarity with our specific educational environment makes her an invaluable asset to the team. With full confidence in Louis Kappas, attorney Michelle Cooper, recommending that our school district retain their legal services. That would be effective January 1, in line with our district needs and ensure a seamless transition. That's the miscellaneous items that we see.
I'm going to approve the miscellaneous items as presented.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the miscellaneous items as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Field trips, FFA, on the 17th of November, CSI, they served fish fry for them. And then on the Rossville Elementary Student Council on December the 8th, did bell ringing for the Salvation Army in Frankfurt. The FFA on December 9th, state crop, forestry, and entomology contest, West Lafayette. You'll hear about more about that in January. Preschool on December the 15th is headed to the library in Rossville. Conference requests or conference report, Brittany Mead, Indiana Association of Ag Educators, January the 11th, Jordan Buck, Indiana Music Educators Association Professional Development Conference in Fort Wayne, and then Nancy Coughlin and Dustin Shadbull, Indiana Power School Users Group Seminar in Indianapolis on January the 25th.
Okay, with that, I will take a motion to adjourn. Our next board meeting will be Tuesday, January 9th at 7 p.m. at this same location.
Make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Properly moved and seconded to adjourn. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you all for attending.